podcast. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcast, and leave us a 5-star review. I'm Petey, as always, alongside Craig S. Morgan. But for the second consecutive day, we're without our bus driver, our host, Leah Merrill.
Yeah, it means that first of all, that you and I have to sit too close together.
Yeah, this is uncomfortable.
And second,
I agree.
I'm out of content ideas already.
So that'll do it for today's show. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I don't know. How are we going to do it again?
I feel like we should have a guest every day this week and just let them talk.
Literally begged Leah to come home.
Yeah.
She just landed yesterday, begged her to come home.
Is Leah going to call into the show at some point?
She might not. She may never call in.
Fill air.
Yep, she may or may not ever call in. But before we get to our special guest, Dallas Drake, I want to tell you about your money. Let's talk about your money.
My money?
For more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. Look to Desert Financial for your checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. Craig banks there. And we have diehards that bank there. Vigoda just did, and he got $200 in bonuses for signing up for a free checking account. When you open a free checking account online, get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. And with all that extra money, we know what we're going to do? We're going to the BetMGM Sportsbook. We talked about what a wonderful weekend I had betting on all the football games. Well, there's more fun tonight for hockey, because with hockey tonight, and tonight only an NHL contest, there's a 25% boost for all NHL games. Bet on any individual NHL matchup tonight and get an extra 25% in winnings if your bet wins. And now it's time, without Leah, this is one of the things we forgot to do yesterday. But blame Leah. We're going to do a parlay.
You're just going to blame Leah?
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
It's the BetMGM parlay pick of the night. I went hockey. It's called your home cooking parlay. I went all three home teams tonight. I got the Red Wings money line, Predators money line, Ducks money line. All that put together gets you a plus 462. And I did bet it for real.
All right.
So there's the hometown parlay. Make sure you sign up for the BetMGM using bonus code PHNX. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through BetMGM Sportsbook mobile application for at least $5. You will receive $158 instantly and additional winnings regardless of your outcome.
Why is it $158?
Because it's the 58th Super Bowl, Craig. If you could count Roman numerals, you would know that.
Yeah,
but I can't either. Why do they do that?
One of those
Check out the show notes for full details. And now, listen to Damon talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-US. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms. This promotional offer is not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
Well, and like I said, we've run out of stuff to say, so it's time for a guest.
Yeah, let's just let it.
And when we decided to go old school, and there's some new Coyote fans may not be familiar with his name, but I tell you what, if you were on the ice anytime in the 90s or early 2000s, better have your head up, because he's taking it off if you don't. Coyotes forward, an old-time hockey player, Dallas Drake, joins the show. And our fingers are crossed that his microphone and audio work. We just got to figure out.
Okay.
Yeah.
We need your full face, Dally.
Well, I don't know.
We got half of you right now.
Actually, ratings might be better if we don't see your full face.
Yeah, that might be better as well. I don't know how to get my full face on there. So
just move to your left. If you can move to your left. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, no, the camera. Not the
way.
camera. Then move your camera to your right. You to the left, camera to the move the camera the other way.
I'm moving.
Jesus, Dallas.
There it goes. This technology nowadays. I'm
Right there. That's
Look
perfect.
at that. So you didn't have this when you were a kid. You didn't have phones. You didn't have the iPads. When you were a player, thank God you didn't have them when you were a player. Can you imagine a coach having access to you 24 hours a day? Would not be good.
No, quite honestly, I wish we could sometimes go back to the old days when we had no phones. It seemed like we communicated a little better and had a lot more fun. So
yeah, talk to people in real life instead of texting them.
Exactly.
So, Dally, we got to ask first off, what are you up to? What have you been up to? I know I've talked to you, but we haven't had you on the show, so we got to catch up.
Yeah. Well, I moved back into town. This is my third year being back in town. I moved back we live in Michigan in the summertime. So I've, the last couple of years, I've been helping coach for the Coyotes Junior AAA program up there. So it's been enjoyable. It keeps me busy, and so it's been fun.
It's funny though, because Dallas, you've played for a lot of NHL teams. You've been all over North America. Honestly, why Arizona? What made you choose to come back here to make your home?
Yeah, obviously we love the weather out here. We actually had a condo out here for probably 20 years or so. We'd try to come out in the spring and spend some time here as well, and still have people out here we're familiar with and friendly with, so, and friends from when I played. So yeah, I love the weather out here. That's probably the biggest reason we moved back. I was sick of the Michigan winters.
Do you want to talk about one of the things we've been talking about a lot, and you can't help but talk about it a lot if you work and in media for the Arizona Coyotes? You have to talk about relocation, arenas, and moving. You started your career in Winnipeg. You were a Winnipeg Jet, and well, not started your career there, but you were a Winnipeg Jet when the Winnipeg Jets moved here to Arizona. So you've been part of a relocation. I'm just wondering what that's like in the locker room to the players when they're going through that, hearing you're leaving a sports community like Winnipeg to relocate down to the desert.
It's the team there at the time was it needed a new facility, and I think everybody understood why we left. It was, a lot of money involved in that situation. The rink wasn't going to get built for us. It was heartbreaking for a lot of the fans up there. Obviously, Winnipeg's a very diehard hockey community, so it was hard for them. But from a player standpoint, we were excited to come to a new place like Phoenix, especially. We were all excited about that. We had a really young team at that point, so we had a lot of guys that spent a lot of time together. So, a lot of us weren't married at the time, so we were excited to come down here and, see how it went. And I loved it here. I think a lot of us who initially came down here would say the same thing, that it was a special place to play for us. Those first few years there, we had a lot of success, and it was fun playing downtown.
Do you remember that initial trip to the Valley, the first visit?
Yeah, I remember. It was the biggest thing I remember about it was 100-degree temperature difference when we left Winnipeg and landed down here in Phoenix. We left up there, it was like minus 30 or 40, or when we got down here it was 65 or 70 degrees. So that was the biggest difference for us, and we loved every minute of it.
There's a lot of talk about having to sell the game back then. We know about JR's efforts. We called him PR, actually, because he was out in the community so much. But what do you remember? Like, what part did you play in all of that in trying to introduce NHL hockey to a city that had some hockey history, but obviously not the National Hockey League?
Yeah, well, we tried to get out and do a lot of things in the community, obviously, especially early on. Introduce some of our faces to the people, the fans. I mean, obviously JR was, he was special at that kind of stuff, and he was really good at the people, and most people knew who JR was, so he was really good about that. But like, I think just, we had Rich Nairn, and Rich is, I know he's no longer with the Coyotes, but he was really important in getting us out involved in the community, whether we were going out. So I remember going out to some events, and a bunch of us were wearing rollerblades. And quite honestly, I'd never been on a pair of rollerblades. I've been on skates. I'm like, I might fall down going across the stage on these rollerblades right now. So we were doing things like that just to kind of, introduce, get some of the young kids involved and meet the young kids. I think, that's the future of, the fan base. And, but it was a little awkward at first because a lot of people, quite honestly didn't know a whole bunch about us. But, I will say this, they supported us really well down at when we played downtown those first few years. It was great. It was a great environment.
I always tell this story that one of the first games down there, they wanted us, I was working for the East Valley Tribune at the time, and they wanted us to talk to fans who maybe hadn't ever been to an NHL game before. And you remember the north end, the obstructed view end where that first balcony hung literally to the edge of the glass, and there were no nets. There were no nets to protect the fans back in those days. So I go up in the first row, and I see this guy with a baseball mitt. I'm like, I gotta talk to this guy. It's like, so how you doing? All the basic questions. So what are you hoping to get out of this? He goes, I'm gonna catch me a puck. And my next question was, have you ever been to an NHL game before? Nope. Like, good luck, buddy, because it's not like a baseball. Trust me. What do you remember about playing at America West Arena? For all its shortcomings, like you said, there was great support there.
There was. Our fan base was really solid for us. I mean, it was funny. That's one of the biggest things that jumps up. I love they always had the band playing up there. They had some rock band playing up there between periods. So that was always fun because Alice Cooperstown was right across the street. So we'd go there a lot after games, quite honestly, a lot of the players. Just not being able to see that rink from the blue line in, it was kind of awkward. It's funny, you watch fans and all of a sudden the puck comes across the red line and they all look up at the scoreboard so they can see what's happening inside the zone. So because they couldn't see inside the blue line. So that was definitely a little bit awkward for a lot of people, but they made it work. There was a very energetic crowd. And like I said, there was always something going on in there to keep the people entertained.
I'm not sure if Petey saw any of that, because as Petey has told me, were you guys aware of where Petey's office was? Did you know where he was?
No,
Yeah,
not
of course
at
not.
all.
See, Jim Cummins did, and the guys that didn't play in the backup goaltender knew. I was behind the bench. I had this little office behind the bench. It was actually on the way from the locker room. But I was absolutely terrified to walk in that room. I was new to the league. I mean, Stan had been around a little bit. We had some young guy like Frosty, who you don't know, but he was beginning in the league, and we were kind of the young guys. And you just stayed out of the room because that was Rick Talkett, JR, Dally Drake, and Keith Kachuk. Yeah. And man, it was merciless. Like they would just. It was, you didn't want to walk through the room. Tony Silva used to cry when you have to walk through that room. But you couldn't get away with that now, Dally. Different.
Yeah, you're right. It's funny you say that, because we still, I talk with Keith all the time, and even like Jimmy McKenzie and players like that. I mean, we were ruthless to one another. Like, you could not walk through there with something getting thrown in your direction, and that's what we enjoyed about it so much. I mean, you had to have a really thick skin to walk through there, though, against something thrown at you. And it was fun. We loved every minute of it.
But don't you think, and I think I've been around locker rooms now for a long time, and now you're so afraid. Guys seem so afraid to say something to their teammate. Oh, he's going to call his agent, or God forbid he calls his mom. Somebody said something bad, or hey, coach, he said something bad. Honestly, I thought what made that locker room special is a guy wasn't afraid to look at his teammate and go, you sucked. Like, you got to be better if we're going to win. And I think that's really missing in today's game.
I completely agree. I mean, the game is completely different than when I played. Even when I retired in 08, it started going in the direction it is today. But you're right. I mean, like, you don't hear it. No, it's a player's game now. And back then, I mean, like, you had to scratch and claw just to keep your job, right? Now the players run the league. So that's just kind of the way it's transformed. And sometimes I wish it wasn't like that. And I like the old school guys. I know we had Torch there for a couple of years, and Torch is still coaching, and I read things, and people are always carving him for saying things. I love listening to him talk. He makes me laugh. He calls a spade, and there's still a place in the game for guys like that. And I just, like you said, it's a completely different environment than what it is nowadays. I don't think necessarily for the better, but and a lot of it's all the social media stuff just kind of has taken over. So, and that's the part that I don't love very much as well.
Yeah, but you talked about Tortorella, and I think when you go back to Tortorella and Jim Schoenfeld and that era of coach, people got the misconception of those guys that, oh, they're mean, they're tough.
Right.
I think they were just honest. They didn't have to sugarcoat it, like you said. So you didn't go crying to your agent, or they just told it how it was. And you might not like it, but they were just honest. Did Jim Schoenfeld actually challenge Jeremy Roenick, taking off his suspenders between periods, challenging JR to a fight? Did that really happen?
It was not in between periods. We were watching video, and JR said some smart ass remark. And we did video back then. Like, we just stuffed into a little room with a couch and get many guys in there and watch video. It wasn't like the video rooms of today. And we were watching video, and JR, I think Shoney criticized him about something, and JR said something. And Shoney said, all right, everybody else. Shoney started taking, we were like, whoa. We had to have a guy stay in there in the room and say, like, hey, Shoney's going to tear you apart here. So, yes, but that did happen. And, and Shoney at that time was still in very good shape. And I see Shoney around the rink once in a while. His grandkids are up there all the time, so I see him. So it's good to touch base with them. But, yeah, Shoney wasn't a guy you messed with, that's for sure.
Who are the best trash talkers? Who are the guys who could chirp?
Jimmy McKenzie was good. Kachuk was good. JR was good. There was a couple sleepers like Mike Stapleton and Mayor Whitey. He could throw the odd chirp, just zinger sometimes. I mean, I had a pretty long tongue sometimes, so like there was a bunch of us in there that really went at it hard, and we didn't care what we said, and the best part about it, like, the guys didn't really care either. They just go, you're right, and you got me there. And so it was a good environment. Jimmy McKenzie and I still talk to Matt quite a bit. He was pretty quick, so you couldn't get much by him.
I was really young. This is where I first started in the league, when all these guys that Dallas is talking about. And I remember one time the team was practicing at Oceanside, and I rarely went there. I usually stayed at AWA and worked, but I had to be at the rink for some reason or another. And I had to walk through the trainer's room where Gord Hart, our medical trainer, was, and Jim McKenzie happened to be on the table.
Oh boy.
And I can't tell the story on air of what actually he did to me and what he said.
Okay.
to me at the time. I didn't know him that well, and he's a big, intimidating man. And I tell you what, in today's cancel culture, oh boy, howdy. Jim McKenzie probably would have played his last hockey game there. Oh my. He was, let's put it this way, he was not shy about his body at that time.
No. And he had no reason to be shy about it.
No, he did
and
not.
that is more information than we probably need. So
yeah, exactly. That's for a whole different topic.
Yeah,
Conversation.
different show.
all right, I want to talk to you about practice before the ice den was built.
Oh, yeah.
I've talked to a number of players who remember, as Petey put it in the notes, old time hockey, working out in the parking lot, the pothole-filled parking lot at Oceanside Ice Arena, using weights that you had to bring yourself, and often driving from the arena in uniform, in complete hockey equipment other than the skates.
That was the best
to
part,
get
was
there.
driving to the rink in our cars, like, because we just put our helmets on, we drive down the road, you look over, there's somebody right beside you driving, and you're like, they're looking at you, and you got all your gear on, you're like, hey, what's up?
That's unreal.
It was pretty funny. It was comical. So, but yeah, we had, back then we didn't have much access to much of anything, so we had to make use with what we had, and we did. And we every now and then when we were downtown, we'd get access to maybe some of the sun stuff, but for the most part, we were using what we could until we got the ice den built up there, and that was a lot better the last couple of years as well. But yeah, it was fun. Driving to practice wasn't fun with the gear all the time, but we had to do it quite a bit because the Suns obviously were down there a lot.
But it kind of goes back to what I was saying before about the old time hockey, and if you did it in today's game, things are so soft. And you talk about the players' lounge and the gym, and they got a kitchen, and they got a chef, and they got a nutritionist. Oh, back when Dallas played, there was one medical guy, and I remember him, and this is not a lie either. Gord Hart was one of the toughest cookies there ever was. Like, he was, talk about vicious. He was vicious. But if you went into the medical room, you better be hurt. Like, I mean, hurt. And nowadays, oh my God, nowadays, there's 4 medical guys taking care of these guys, massaging them before, during, and after practice. If Walt and Gord Hart would have seen a rookie go into the medical room for any reason, I don't care if his legs hanging off his body, he's giving it to him. It's just amazing to me that these guys worked out in a parking lot. And if you had to tell the guys today, you have to work out in the parking lot and dress and drive, I guarantee it, they're calling their agent. I guarantee it. Like, there's no way. They bitch and complain about what they have now, and they don't know what hockey used to be like.
The NHLPA is filing a grievance.
Yeah, it was just different, and it was just grittier, and it was tougher, which brings me to the next point. We talk about gritty and tough, and people that haven't seen you play or familiar with your style of play here in Arizona, you're a physical guy. You were, I don't want to say dangerous, but you better keep your head up. But you better keep your head up if you're on the ice, right? Like, you were coming, and you might come in a little high. You might jump off your feet a little bit.
Yeah.
Could that style of play make it today?
No, absolutely not. I mean, I'd be, like I said, I tell people, if I'd be serving 4 to 6 somewhere right now for whatever I did back, some of the things I did back then. So it was just, the head contact and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, I was never aiming for anybody's head. I hit people hard through the middle of the ice, and in most cases they had their head down, and I hit them in the head. So, and I, closer to the end of my career, I had a few suspensions for that. But back in the day, that was allowed, right? So I wasn't the only one doing it, but I was physical, and that's kind of what gave me space to play on the ice. I had to do exactly what I had to do that, and that was one of the positive parts of my game that allowed me to play as long as I did.
And it's kind of unfortunate because that team, you were there at the right time. This team was good. Like, this was a really good hockey team. And you look at when Tocchet finally gets here, and we talked about Tkachuk and Roenick, but you had all the role players too, like guys that could do a little, Bobby Corkum, guys that could do a little bit of everything. And this team, honestly, I think even though they didn't have the playoff success, I think it's one of the best Coyotes teams that the Valley has ever had. Yeah. And it was just exciting to watch Dallas Drake play. Like, you wanted him on your team because he could skate. Some of the guys in the league now that can hit and play physical like that couldn't skate. Like, Dallas was a player. Like, you could still participate in the offense, but you were still played scrappy. But you're not a big guy like that. You're not a big NHL player. What gave you the guts to be able to go play like that? What was it about you that allowed you to play like that?
Well, I tell people this story a lot. My first year when I went to Detroit, for my first training camp, I was a centerman, and I thought, I was coming out of college pretty high on my pedestal, thinking I was going to step right in there and play. And obviously, their centermen at that time were Sergei Fedorov, Steve
Oh.
Yzerman, Jimmy Carson. So I was like,
Not bad.
I got to find a way to play here. So like, and I never shied away from being physical in college, but it's not like I played like that in college. And I quite honestly, they put me on the wing, and I just started doing that as I was physical. I banged in a few goals here and there. But that's what kind of got me into the league, was just changing how my mindset had to change. I had to accept the fact that for me to stay and play, I had to change my identity a little bit. And I made that commitment right away, and that's what got me into the league, and that's what kept me there. That's for sure.
So I got to ask this before we move on. One of our readers and listeners, viewers, I guess all three, wanted to ask you, and I need to make sure this was you, about calling into a post-game radio show and identifying yourself as Skippy on a mobile. True story?
Yeah, it's a true story.
Can you paint that picture,
Somebody asked
please?
me to do that though. Like it was one of my teammates asked me to do that. I think it was Walt. Yes, and I really I didn't know. He told me to call in, and I don't even know what, because Walt, you remember Walt, he used to call half the people around the thing, he'd call him Skippy. So he goes, just call yourself Skippy. I'm like, all right. So I just did it. Yeah. So that was, not much to that conversation as well. So
Skippy on a mobile. That should be your Twitter handle now. So
yeah.
all right, we were
That's
talking
good talk.
we were talking about how good those teams were, and we were obviously both there for those playoff first round near misses, the close calls against Anaheim, against St. Louis. What jumps out at you? I don't know if you have regret or what do you think about?
You know what? Those series, the other two series we lost to Colorado, we lost to Detroit. So those at that time they were better than us. We gave them what they could handle, but the Anaheim one, we were up. We should have won that series. The St. Louis one, really, it still bothers me. We were up 3-1, could have wrapped it up at home, lost, then went there, lost, and came back and lost at home again. So that was frustrating, because I really, during that time, like Todd said, we had a couple teams that really, if we could have got through that first round, which a lot of people say, and it's true, getting through that first round is sometimes the hardest thing to do, and then you can kind of get your feet under you and get some confidence. If we would have got through that against one of those teams, I think we could have made a good run. And it was unfortunate because we had some players, Habibul in the net, Tapo on the point, and JR and Walt, and we had some good second row guys that knew what they had to do, and it's very dissatisfying. It still bothers me we lost to St. Louis.
Yeah, that one to me is of all the playoff series, up 3-1, coming home for 2 of the 3 to America West Arena with the team that the Coyotes had at that time. They were tough. You weren't getting put. You look now, and some of these teams that do well during the regular season get blown out because they can't physically play. That team could play, and in those Black Kachinas, those heavy, big, thick Black Kachinas back then, man, that was a scary looking team. It's just too bad that they ran into Grant Fuhr. And it's really, you look at Game 7 was his goaltending matchup, and Habib Bullen and Grant Fuhr was Game 7, 0-0. 0-0 regulation goes to overtime. Can you imagine? 0-0 Game 7. So it's too bad that I look back at that one too, and I had my bag packed in the video room because if you won the game, you're leaving right from there. The Game 7, you're going to Dallas. So it is one of the times that I was just getting started, but I look back at that time, and Shoney said, if we don't win, I'll stake my job. We win the series. He didn't, and he didn't.
Yeah, it was too bad. He didn't deserve to get fired for that, but it's the way it goes in hockey and sports nowadays, right? You don't win, you're usually the culprit.
Dally, just to tie this into, I guess, news of the day or news of the past 2 decades plus. After those first couple seasons, were you guys aware that Richard Burke was looking for a new home for the team and that the relocation rumors were swirling around this team with, at that time, Portland, the destination?
Yeah, well, we heard them, obviously. I mean, I didn't know how serious they were, but, you always hear rumors. It seems like the rumors have been going on here for quite some time now, ever since the team got here, right? So it seems like it's never ending. And, they had a couple ownership issues there in the last 10, 15 years. So, it's unfortunate. I really hope the team can figure it out and can stay here because I do think there's a place for him here. But, who knows? We're going to find out sooner than later, I think.
Yeah, amen to that. And like you said, you're involved a little bit with the hockey here in Arizona now. What's your sense of how things have changed on that front from at the youth level? We have a Division I college program, which is insane.
Yeah.
What's your sense of the growth of hockey here?
Well, just from what I've seen over the last 3 years that I've been out here, it's pretty incredible. There's a lot of really unique talents out here. I've been fortunate enough to coach a couple of kids the last couple of years that are moving on to the junior level, and they got a very bright. Actually, one of the kids is committed to stay here and play at SU. So I'm very impressed with how they do a lot of things around here. They do have talent. They do it the right way. I think they're lucky in a lot of ways because there's a lot of former guys that are around the area that are happy to help and coach. And I think that's a positive for all the organizations that have them. So, it's definitely hockey in the Valley is a real thing, especially at the youth level.
I want one story I want to verify because, again, back in those days, I wasn't really interactive with the players. I was just kind of sat in the front of the plane on the playoffs, and I was out of the way. I recall one of the first trips I ever took, so it must have been a playoff to Detroit, I think. I think it's a playoff series to Detroit, and the team had to fly Sun Country. This is back before charter planes, and you didn't get that. You actually went through the terminals. This is the olden days. Sun Country.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. This is before 9/11. This is airports. This is way different rules on a plane. And there was a defenseman named Gerald Didick on the team. He didn't win any trivia contests. Let's put it that way. But he did some stuff on the plane that you cannot get away with today. Do you recall any antics at either takeoff or landing that Gerald Didick did on the plane? They might not have even stood out to you. Do you recall anything on the plane?
I remember Dids being a little bit off the rails sometimes. I don't remember what he did or specifically. That was a long time ago. I usually stayed as far as I could from Dids because he was just a strange customer. So like I said, I was usually at the back somewhere and Dids was somewhere in the middle. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. And you're right. We flew some pterodactyl airlines back then. It was like, hang on, we're flying in, get the duct tape out. It was a little worrisome at times.
Yeah, it was. And I'll tell you the plane thing really quick. As we were landing, he took a serving tray from the flight attendant and he sat on it as the plane landed. So when the plane lands and you're on a serving cart at the back of the plane, but you're at the front of the plane in no time. If you did that today, literally be arrested. So that's what I'm going to leave you with. My last question. Back when guys were getting their ties cut, and if you fell asleep on the plane, good luck. I had like Walt, again, one of the worst there is at shoe checks and all of those things. So if you go back to all of your time here in Arizona, give us the worst prank that was either played on you or that you played as a part of someone else, played on somebody else. And again, this is a family program, so I don't want to be too off base. But is there anything you recall that right now, if you did, guys would be going, uh-oh. If you can think of one of the best pranks you either pulled or got pulled on you in your time in Arizona.
Well, the PG rated one, I'm going to keep the other ones. The best PG rated one I can come up with is Walt. I don't know how he did it, but when we did fly private like every now and then, which was very rarely, and we did have a charter flight, one flight, and Walt, I don't know how he did this, but he got the guy's keys from his car on our way back, and he had the car removed from the parking lot, and everybody thought the guy's got his car stolen from the parking lot. So that one always stuck out at me. That was pretty good, because like we knew, a couple of us knew, and we literally just played dumb and played like the vehicle had been stolen, and we just went with the flow. And this guy was calling the cops and trying to, and we're like, oh my god. So like, that was one of the. There's a few other ones that we could talk off air that like you said, it's a PG rated show.
Yeah,
that we can't go there because we did some things back then that you're right when you say that you'd be arrested coming off the plane. You'd be in shackles and your ankles and your wrists would be in shackles.
Yeah.
We did some shit back then, right?
It's unreal because there is no one like, and I wish people could have seen the real Keith Tkachuk. Not only, hey, there's nobody that plays the game like he does now. There isn't. Right. Like he scored 50 goals and he could beat you up.
Yep.
Like he played physical, got to the net. Man, there is no player like Keith Tkachuk, and he is not in the Hall of Fame right now. Is just a crime. He should
I
absolutely
agree.
be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. But his antics off the ice,
Yeah, that's the
what a human being he is. Like, you liked him,
Yes.
but you keep your eyes open. If he's in the room, you
Right.
better be looking.
Yeah.
The last thing, I know you're still really good friends with Walt. Do you keep in touch? And how is he
Oh,
looking
yeah.
at his family going through all of
Oh,
the
yeah.
kids going through the NHL?
Oh, I love it. I mean, I follow his kids. My kids' favorite players, Matthew Tkachuk. He's still one of my best friends. I just talked to him the other day. They retired his jersey in St. Louis last week, or put him in the Hall of Fame in St. Louis last week. I'm sorry. So I talked to him about that. So yeah, we're very close, and you're right when you say that. He's he definitely is a Hall of Fame player. You can't always go by goals and assists, but if you do, he's got the credentials to get in there just on that alone, and just the type of player that he was in that era. He was one of the top 3 players in the league for 4 or 5 years there at a certain point. So scored, fought, got assists, was captain. Physical. You just can't. They don't make him like that anymore. And like you're talking about a 235-pound man when he's in front of the net. Like, good luck moving him. So he would score 60 today if he was allowed to play. So he was that good.
Dallas Drake, I can't thank you enough. This is honestly at PHNX. This might be my favorite interview, and I'm not kidding. Like and that's with the commissioner and Shane Doan. Well, if Shane Doan would show up on time,
Yeah, well.
which he doesn't, so the interview's cut in half. But Dallas, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for taking the time. Good luck with the kids program, and I hope to see you up around the ice den.
Absolutely, guys. Reach
Thanks,
out
Dallas.
anytime. It was fun.
Well, you know what I need to do
Takes
after
you
that,
back,
Greg?
doesn't it?
I need to take an OGs after that.
Yeah, that and the recent
Another
news.
one. I need to take another one after that. Check out the Big OG's Gummy. It's a mega version of Peg's Raspberry Orange. And you know what it is? It's 10 individual slices making up 100 milligrams of THC. Whoa, boy, howdy. It's just like freshly squeezed juice. Live rosin is created through a pressing process. The highest quality harvested cannabis in frozen and ultimately pressed to extract the all-natural live rosin oil. That's a big 100 million. Boy, howdy. Had to go, our friends at OGs. They have the Sleep Edition, they have the Happy Balance, and they have so many more. Anything and everything. And they have every product to fit all of your THC needs. Make sure to learn more about OGs brand gummies, locally made, by the way. Throw that out there. And where you can find them, head over to ogsbrands.com. And while you're driving there, I want everybody to do this. If you're listening on audio right now, and this goes out to my very dear friends, Danielle and Leah. If you are in your car listening to an audio edition of this podcast right now, look at your gas gauge. Look at it. If it is below 1/4 tank, not 2 miles, not 3 miles, 1/4 tank, get to the nearest Circle K and fill up. Your parents would be proud of you. Right now, and while you do that, before you pump, download the Circle K app and become part of their inner circle. When you become part of the inner circle, you save 25% per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups, 3 cents on every gallon after that, and you get the 6th item free when you buy 5 of some of their best items: pizza, coffee, and their famous ice-cold fountain drinks. Join the inner circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit circlek.com. Don't call it, not .com. ABC, Sibyllus. Leah, visit circlek.com for details.
Takes you back, doesn't it, here in Dallas Drake Talk? Just remembering those early years of the America West Arena days, the playoff series, of course, that were frustrating ultimately, but it was so cool to have NHL hockey. I've told this story. I know I repeat myself. This is what happens when you get old. You just repeat stories and you think people are hearing them for the first time. But our columnist at the Tribune, I remember asking him, "You think NHL hockey will ever come to the Valley?" Not a chance. Like, not 2 months later, the Coyotes, the Winnipeg Jets are moving here. And I was so excited because, you and I both grew up around the game. And I'm in sports media thinking, I'm in a market that has, other sports, but it doesn't have this. I mean, we even had the Firebirds, so we had baseball at the time, but we didn't have hockey.
No, and at the time, people were like, hockey in the Southwest isn't going to work.
Yeah.
It's not going to work. I mean, you're talking at that time, it's Dallas. Dallas had just moved from Minnesota, and now hockey moved from Winnipeg, 2 very serious, hardcore hockey markets, to 2 maybe not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I hear those stories and going down memory lane, it's just amazing how much this game has changed in 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, it's phenomenal.
It's crazy how much
The
different
money
it
is so much different. The amenities, the arenas, the way, just everything, the day-to-day life is
The
different.
interaction, like you mentioned, like the interaction of the
Absolutely.
players with each other or with the media, or it's completely different.
And the game's changed. Like back then, it was hooking, grabbing, clutching, fighting. It was just different. There was 2-line pass. Like, rules have changed. There wasn't the tag up icing when this team first came to Arizona. There's so many things that have made this game today faster, quicker, and literally a much more skilled game than it was back in those days. I am so glad we had him as a guest.
Yeah.
Because the things we talked about, I'm just picturing Clayton Keller and Lawson Krause carrying weights in their car. And I just don't know if they do it.
You know what else you don't see? You don't see chain smoking goaltenders.
No, we had the starting goalie of the Arizona Coyotes had an ashtray in a stall. You think I'm kidding?
No,
Not kidding.
I saw it.
It's true.
Talking about Nikolai Hobby.
Nicky Habibulin smoked. What? You're out of your mind. Like, how
Just
could
go
you
out that back door at the ice den? Back when they had that whole side with the locker rooms,
Yes.
you'd go out for a smoke break.
It's unbelievable to me.
His agent hated it that we mentioned that.
And they had pizza after every game. If you told the strength guy and the nutrition guy in the Coyotes right now that they're having pizza post game, they go out of their mind. And you heard him, Dallas, say that they went to Alice Cooperstown, right across the street.
Right.
It was right downtown. And he said, yeah, a lot of us went there after games. You don't do that now. You go get your protein shake, you get your quinoa bowl, you go home, you get your sleep science guide, you tuck you into bed after you have your all red light sauna. Like, there's nothing wrong with showing up to the game in the rink the next day with a little beer on your breath. Because you know what happened, Danielle? The guy on the other side of the faceoff had also a little bit of beer on his breath. And we should ask Dave Tippett about that, about the good old days. It's just fun. And I just hope that the legacy of Coyote hockey and pro hockey in Arizona stays.
Amen.
And I don't want to see it end now. I think it's so important that this carries on.
Yeah, and we just talked to him about the impact that the Coyotes have had on the growth of the game. Youth hockey in particular. It's amazing to see what's happened across that. But we've got competitive teams on the boys and girls side at this point. We've got a Division I hockey team.
Yeah.
There's so much happening, and you wonder what happens if the NHL goes away.
Yeah, it is. It's a testament to having the team here. You talk about Austin Matthews when we had Elliot Friedman on yesterday, and Austin Matthews doesn't exist in Toronto and lead this league in scoring if not for the Arizona Coyotes. He just doesn't. His favorite player is Danny Briere, by the way, Shane Doan, because I'm sure you're listening. Sorry
about that, buddy.
But if it leaves, it's so built up right now, and it's so strong right now. And the arenas that have hockey, it's so strong. It will be okay for now.
Yeah.
But that attention will wane, and it will start to decline. And I think there'll always be hockey here.
Yeah.
I just know if the Coyotes leave, it won't be the same as we're seeing it right now.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
Can we go back to the OGs ad now?
No,
or let's. Hey, speaking of beer on your breath.
Yeah, speaking of beer in your breath, we've talked about the OGs making you happy. You know what makes me happy is Four Peaks, because Four Peak is the official beer sponsor at PHNX, and sports aren't the same without a Four Peaks in hand. And I tell you every day, my favorite is the Kilt Lifter Craig.
It is lately, actually. I've been drinking
Kilt
Kilt
Lifter.
Lifter. You know, I was on WoW for a long time.
You were a WoW guy.
It's warming up again, so I may go back to the WoW. But yeah, Kilt Lifter is a really good beer.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just go to fourpeaks.com and check out all of the beers they have, because they literally have a flavor for every person in every mood. I promise you that. And while you're at it, go to their 8th Street Pub. We haven't been for a minute
Chicken
for
tendies.
their chicken tendies.
Yep.
Unbelievable bar menu. If you want to go watch a game, the 8th Street Pub, fire. TVs everywhere. Food is great. And they have all of their famous Four Peaks beers on tap.
Yep.
And it's not just one bar. There's a bar in the front where you can kind of play a little more bougie.
Yeah.
Like you're like, I don't know, what you call that? Like a coffee shop bar? What would that be?
It's a really cool bar.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
I
really
like
cool.
that whole space. I've been going there forever. Like long before I worked at PHNX, I've been going to Four Peaks.
They got the outdoor spot too.
Yeah.
Little toasty in the summer, perfect right now.
Yep.
So check out their outdoor patio at the Four Peaks 8th Street Pub. Visit fourpeaks.com/locator to find all of your favorite beers and events. Check out Four Peaks Brew or at Four Peaks Pub to keep up with the latest at Arizona's hometown brewery. Must be 21 years or older to drink Four Peaks. Please enjoy responsibly. And another thing, since we're talking about looking around your house, if you're watching this on YouTube and you're at home, look around your house. Tell me how horseshit and drab. Can I say that during an ad read? Can we call Max?
I don't know. Yeah, we're
Can
about
I-
to find out.
We're going to find out
You can look
how
right down.
drab your floors look. And I'm telling you from experience, I walked around my house for nearly a decade saying, this flooring stinks. I'm going to move. You know what I did instead? Got new floors. And whole new house, whole new life. All you got to do is get a hold of Empire Today. And you know what Empire Today does? They come to you. You don't have to go shopping. They bring everything to you. They've got a product. You want carpet? They got carpet. Laminate, tile, wood. You want tile that looks like wood? Laminate looks like tile. They got it. Whatever you want in any budget range you need, they've got it at Empire Today. So make sure you check out Empire Today. With Empire Today, you can shop at home convenience, the right product for you, your needs, quick and professional installation, and a price match guarantee. Working with Empire Today is easy, quick, and convenient. Schedule a free at-home estimate today. All listeners can receive how much? $350 off discount when they use promo code PHNX. Restriction apply. Please check out empiretoday.com/PHNX for details.
Petey, you got through them. Congratulations.
It's amazing. And I know Leah get back.
Yeah, amen.
That's hard.
But,
I don't know how she does it.
You know, I am happy that Leah is getting back home to Toronto, to her hometown.
Yes.
And she gets to cover an event like the All-Star
Yes.
game, which is, you know, it can be exciting. Like Elliot was saying it when we had him on. Like, I'm the same. I'll complain, and then I get there, and then I find I enjoy myself. And that's true. Like, once you're at one of these events and you're connecting with people, it can be a lot of fun. I still don't care about the game itself, but the skills challenge, that stuff.
And the city of Toronto must be electric.
Toronto's amazing. It's a great city.
It's a great city to begin with. Can you imagine the All-Star game being there and all the hockey personalities? And it becomes
Hockey
the melting
mecca.
pot of hockey right now. Like for the next 3 days, it's Toronto, and the draft is tomorrow. So that'll be fun to watch. People can tune in, and we'll be talking about that on Friday. Who got drafted last? I'm sure because Phil Kessel is not there, so we'll have to see who got drafted last. And I am so sorry to the chat. I'm going to apologize. I have difficulties in focusing on two things at once.
Yeah.
But I really don't. I do more than two usually, but this one I can't do. And Paul said that Leah's probably just having some of her Timbits at Tim Hortons right now. And you know what? I bet she has already had Timbits.
I would hope so. At this point.
There is a 0% chance she hasn't been to Tim Hortons yet. So I apologize to the chat. I know I see CWP there. I'm so sorry. I'm just not good. Robert Lee's never watching the Coyotes again if they leave. Amen. I get the anger. I'll be that way for a minute. I'll text once, 4 Peaks in St. Louis. Don't we all? But we want to see it everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry to the chat that I haven't done a very good job of keeping up. I promise I will try to do better. And right now, Cody, that's a good question. And I'm going to hand that off to our resident journalist and reporter, Craig Morgan. Is there anything fans can be doing to help get this arena deal done at this point?
I wish I could say that there was some impact that fans could have at this point. I mean, you could, write a group email to Gary Bettman and state how badly that you want Coyotes hockey to stay. I don't think it could hurt. I'm not sure it's going to help that much.
I think this it's beyond the fans right now.
I think it's
if it gets to the point where it's
everybody's hands,
if it gets to the hands when you're back to another political situation where there's going to be some kind of a vote and the people can really have a voice at a city council meeting or those type of situations, then I think the fans can get involved again. Right now, sadly, this is business.
Yeah,
it's all business.
And honestly, they're trying to avoid any kind of public vote. So if we get there, that's a problem. I don't think that's coming. So yeah, we wait. It's hard. We wait. And as I told you guys in the newsletter, for those who read it, and as we've said on this show, I don't know how it's going to play out. I honestly don't know at this point, but we're going to have answers fairly soon.
Speaking of answers,
yes.
You have received a lot of questions lately. Can you tell us about the next Craig Morgan mailbag?
Yep. It will be coming tomorrow. I know tomorrow's February 1st, so apologies because it's the first of the month already? January mailbag.
Buddy.
And I got to it. I gave people a deadline of today. And
that's fair.
It's been a week, as you guys have seen anyway.
It's All-Star break, Craig. It's fine.
It is. I did finish a writer's roundtable with the other All-City NHL beat writers. That's going to run on Friday with Charlie O'Connor and Megan Angley and Mario Terabisi.
That's really cool. Where is that going to run?
I think it's going to run on PHLY this time, but I'll link to it as well.
Cool.
So there's a writers roundtable coming. The mailbag is coming out tomorrow. Got a lot of questions again, and you can guess what some of them are about. But yes, that's for diehards only. So a reminder: become a diehard. There are lots of perks.
Yeah, not only do you get a free hat or shirt when you sign up, you get a free hat or shirt on your anniversary every year. Not just one shirt, you get one every time you sign up on your anniversary. So you get 20% off all merch on the PHNX locker. You get 20% off all of our events, and there are a lot of them. There's hockey events coming soon, so stay tuned to that. And you get part of the Discord where Craig and Leah are on often, and I'm in sometimes. Is that fair?
Yeah, we're on there a lot. We do live chats
than
there.
Me in there
You do Petey's Puck Talk.
I do Petey's Puck Talk live in the Discord. So become a diehard. It really is the best way to become part of this PHNX sports community. So check it all out at gophnx.com and find out more about becoming a diehard. Craig, anything else you got coming up on the next 2 shows? Do you know what you're doing Thursday?
No, buddy, we got to plan that after we get off here.
Leah.
Yeah, we have no idea.
We have no idea.
I have a fun game planned for Friday that's going to involve you guys.
Really? The chat?
And we'll let you know. Yeah, it's just going to be for
I don't know about
the chat.
this.
I know. I've mentioned it in passing, but
I don't pay attention.
You guys don't tend to pay attention to me very much.
So Friday, tomorrow's show, I think we're hopeful. At this point, we're hopeful that we have some kind of contact with Leah Merrill.
Yeah, to save us.
Yes, we are hoping she is able to either call in, text in, some form of communication to get a report from the All-Star game in Toronto. And I will be doing, I don't know if you got to see the quarterfinals last night where Centennial moves on in a big win over Flagstaff. When it was a nail biter for about 15 minutes, periods of 15 minutes. It was 1-1 after 1 against Flagstaff. Then Centennial pulled ahead, and Mountain Ridge
West Side's cool.
Yeah. They move on into the semis. Tonight, 2 big quarterfinal games. The battle of the prep schools. Notre Dame Prep playing Brophy Prep.
Oh, boy.
Today, in the first battle in the late night, has the last 2 state champions facing off against each other, with Desert Vista facing off against Pinnacle.
Wow.
Those games are tonight at the Mullet. $10 gets you into both games. Check it out. These are 4 really good teams. They contain, between Notre Dame, Pinnacle, and Desert Vista, they have the last 4 state championships. So this is a big tilt tonight. So check it out there. And then on Friday, I will be back in studio doing another podcast for a preview of the Arizona State High School Hockey Championship. So look for that on Friday as well. And I will be on the broadcast booth Thursday and Sunday for all the semifinals and finals games. So check out high school hockey. Go to asha.org for more information on tickets and game times. Craig?
That's it.
I think that's about it. I don't know if I can talk much more.
We survived at least, we've survived 2 days now. We've got 2 more to get through, PD.
Yeah, so follow
I don't
all
like
of
our
us.
odds, but
You know how stressed I am right now? Because I'm going to say follow us on Twitter. And you know what happened yesterday's show? Yeah, I know she knows.
It's almost like Danielle.
I know Danielle behind the Mac knows already. It's coming. So here's where it comes. Make sure you follow all of us on social media. Follow me at S Peters Hockey. Follow Craig at Craig S Morgan. Follow Danielle behind the Mac at Abracadanielle. Did it.
Got it.
Follow the show at PHNX_Coyotes. Make sure you follow us and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast, and leave us a 5-star review. It really helps. Jump over to YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the content that not only the Coyote Show, but all of the great shows here at PHNX provide. Thanks for joining us today. It was a great conversation with Dally Drake. Yeah. We'll see everybody again tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.
We all silly like the mayor.